Welcome to this edition of Connect Duluth. I am Mayor Greg Whitlock, and today I have with me Stormwater Program Manager Josh Arnold and Stormwater Program Administrator Alyssa Gilhooly. Today you're going to learn about stormwater, why it's important, how it affects you, and why we're having to spend so much time, effort, and money on the infrastructure related to stormwater. Before we get started, most people don't know what stormwater is. Stormwater is basically water that falls from the sky, hits the ground, has to go somewhere without going into your homes. So with that, I'm just going to ask you, how does stormwater work? Where does it go?
Sure. So stormwater, as like you said, any water that falls from the sky. And if you think about where water goes, if it falls on a forest or a field, it's going to be soaked into the soil, taken up by the plants, evaporates. That's how the whole water cycle works. But if you start adding impervious surfaces like concrete, sidewalks, driveways, roofs, that water can no longer soak into the soil. It's got to go somewhere though.
Stormwater drains, pipes, and ditches collect water and bring it to a detention pond for temporary storage, or retention ponds that actually hold water all the time.
And the thing about stormwater is it's not treated. A lot of people think that it's similar to the water that goes down the toilet or down the shower drain. In fact, stormwater runoff goes into a drain and is on a fast track to the nearest river or stream. So anything that the stormwater runoff picks up with it is also going to the river or stream.
Okay. So I know that we have this whole department, whole conversation. We're talking openly and publicly about it now. Why do our citizens need to know about this and understand? Why is it important for them to know stormwater?
Why is it important to know? It affects all of us.
Okay. It's environmental, right?
It's
an environmental concern, right?
Absolutely.
Yes, okay.
Like I just mentioned with the stormwater pollution, it's one of the biggest threats to clean water is stormwater pollution. But it affects all of us because rain's going to continue to fall from the sky. We've got to do something with it. It's got to go somewhere.
And it seems to be raining harder, faster, and then just going away, right?
Yes.
So it's having to drain faster than it used to, right?
We're seeing more intense storms more
Yeah,
frequently.
yeah. All right, so can you explain the program?
Yeah, so we do several different types of inspections. We do high visibility pollutant sources. Those are gas station inspections, pet waste places. We do ditch inspections. We do structure inspections. We do pipe inspections. We have 14 miles worth of pipes in our city limits, so it takes a lot of work to get a hold of all those.
And what do you do with those inspections?
We actually just put it into a database. We score them, and pipes that aren't in good condition make our priority list to try and get fixed on a year-by-year basis.
Can one of you explain kind of when you do inspections what you're seeing in a system that's failing?
Sure. So on a structure inspection, the main thing we're looking for are voids in the concrete, sinkholes around the structure, failing cracks. You know, anything that you would see like with concrete, like you're looking for those failures. Now the pipes are way more extensive. You're looking at corrosions, separations. There's several different types of pipes. So these things collapse completely. They start bending. They start warping. So it's a lot of work to go through all the pipes in our city.
So it seems like every year we're having to revisit the budget to be able to address this issue. And every year the city, no matter what we try to do, just seems to not be able to catch up, right? And this is one of the reasons why we have a stormwater fee attached to the tax bill that's going out right now, and that stormwater fee is actually going up this year. From what I've been informed, of all the projects we have that we have to address, that project's coming to around a $30 million budget amount, estimated budget amount, on today's dollars. So what are we doing to try to catch that up? What does that look like? I mean, what does your department do with that? And what are we trying to prevent? So if this system were to fail, what are we trying to prevent from occurring?
I think we're trying to prevent major catastrophic failures of our system to the point where stormwater won't be able to go where it's supposed to go. The stormwater system won't function like it's supposed to. I think what's really important is that we're proactive, and we're finding issues before they become those major failures.
And a major failure could be a home flooding,
A home flooding,
sinkhole,
a sinkhole, a pipe under a road that fails, so now you can't get to where you're going. So we do try to be proactive with those inspections and find those problems when they're small before they become big.
I think I'd like to add, like to the catastrophic failure, is these pipes sometimes are in really close relation to foundations of homes. So we've never experienced anything like that, but we're trying to make sure we prevent something bad happening.
I've seen some homes that are on the market, and I'm just shocked at how close those stormwater pipes are to the home. And I can only imagine what would happen if the pipe failed and the land around it were to fail, because it goes right up under the house. And so, it is my personal philosophy that when people pay property taxes, the property taxes go towards the infrastructure to support their homes. The infrastructure of public safety, the infrastructure of the roads, the streets, the sidewalks, even parks and community stuff. Anything that protects their home and makes their home more desirable to live. And I think stormwater is one of those secret things no one talks about, and how supporting the system protects their home. So really the program is environmental, but it's also at the same time protecting their assets.
Absolutely.
Agree?
Absolutely.
Yes, sir.
And not just at their own home, but the roads that they drive on every day.
That's true. So everything the city does, we want it to be sustainable. How is this program sustainable?
Sustainability to me for stormwater would be replacing all corrugated metal pipes and plastic pipes with, there's a technology we use of lining pipes, and then we only allow concrete pipes now. So for instance, we went back and we did some investigation of similar neighborhoods, like similar timelines of developments in the 90s. So one of our corrugated metal neighborhoods, $1.5 million worth of damages.
Wow.
And we have a neighborhood that was built just 3 years later in the late 90s. It's all concrete pipe, and we have $0 worth of failures.
Wow, big difference.
So we really think that approach of just adding concrete pipe or lining, the lining process is supposed to have a 50 to 70 year lifespan. We think that's the best course of action to sustain.
When the corrugated metal is able to be lined.
Yes, sir.
Right, okay.
But with these contractors have these these amazing ways of going in and transforming these pipes to where they can get in there and pretty much line everything now.
Wow.
And I think another definition of sustainability is to choose environmentally conscious solutions to stormwater management. There's something called green infrastructure. So when you think of the pipes and the structures and the detention ponds, that's what we consider gray infrastructure. And switching and incorporating nature-based solutions like green infrastructure, I think, is also really important. For instance, at Rogers Bridge Park, we have 4 bioretention areas where stormwater runoff from the parking lot goes into a sort of a garden low area, so that water can be taken up by plants. It's actually filtered that way instead of going directly to the Chattahoochee River.
And our program is including both of those options as far as sustainability.
Yes, part of our comprehensive plan is to encourage green infrastructure and nature-based solutions.
Okay. I'm a visual person, so kind of give a description of what the process looks like from beginning to kind of end with the stormwater project.
Sure. We maintain a list of projects, repairs that need to get done, studies that might need to get done for full, more larger drainage projects. We have a criteria, a rubric that we score those projects based off of standard criteria. And then essentially as resources allow, we go through that project list. And the project list is generated from the inspections that we do, and it's also generated from complaints and reports of damage to stormwater infrastructure. So there's 2 ways that projects will get on the list. And then, like I mentioned, we score those projects based on a number of criteria like safety, how many properties are affected, the likelihood of failure. We look at all of those things, and take all of those into consideration. And then once resources are available and that project hits the top of the list, that's when we'll utilize on-call stormwater contractors to get those projects done.
So for the people who are watching today, and you say that you get, if there's a complaint, what do they look for? What do they see? What is a sign for someone who's just walking on their property or going for a walk in the community of a system that maybe they need to bring to our attention?
I think our number one call would be sinkholes.
Okay.
If you're outside your property and you see a large sinkhole, please call.
I think another thing that potentially clogged structures, especially during the fall when we've got lots of leaves, structures might get clogged up, not allowing the water to drain into them. So that's another thing that people can call about as well.
So don't blow your leaves and stuff
Definitely
to the drains,
don't
right?
blow
And don't let your
your leaves
landscaper
stuff
blow
to the
leaves
drain.
and drain
Exactly.
stuff to the drains.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We do the street sweeping every fall to try and alleviate, because certainly we can't control the leaves that fall into the street. So our street sweepers are picking up those leaves as best they can so that they do not go into the storm drain system and clog them.
Okay. So Josh, tell us about a few projects, some recent projects that you've had to address.
So as of recent, the last year, since our large storm, we've had, I think we've probably had 10 to 15 emergency-based projects. So something as of recent would be, we discovered that a neighborhood had some plastic pipe with bad bedding in it. And if you do not set your plastic pipe up properly, it's going to fail on a short timeline. So we had to go in. You cannot line a plastic pipe. So you have to, it's corrugated metal that we can line. So those pipes have to come up out of the ground. These pipes run under the road. So we have to pull up the road. There are utilities that we have to have. Sometimes we have to have Georgia Power or whomever come in and hold their like electric boxes or whatever that may be, in order for us to be able to get our pipe into the ground.
Oh, wow.
We actually discovered that on our CCTV inspections. When I saw the video, there was a large hole in the pipe, so I immediately drove out to this project and discovered there was a sinkhole in the yard. And now we've had to pull up the road, we've had to pull up the yard and replace that with concrete pipe.
So, from what I'm kind of hearing, and you know, I heard those descriptions of, first of all, I can't believe there's plastic pipes underground like that, because I just can't believe it's plastic. But also for the homeowner, what is really kind of their responsibility? Like if let's say they have a pipe that runs through their property. I know like they're not supposed to plant trees over it, right? So kind of how does someone kind of look at their property and kind of estimate whether they have that infrastructure on their property?
I think the best answer is to look in the street to see
Okay.
if there's a catch basin, a drain
storm
opening,
drain.
a storm
Yes,
drain.
yes. Okay.
And if there's one near your property in the road, there's a very high likelihood that there's probably a pipe somewhere underground in your property. You can also give us a call if you think that, if a property owner thinks that there might be something, we can try and look for the subdivision plat to look at what infrastructure was put in during development, and we would be able to tell that person if they do in fact have stormwater infrastructure underground.
And we've been talking a lot about infrastructure being underground, but a lot of the infrastructure also, I call them creeks, right? I'm not sure what y'all call them, just like, or ditches, right? That lead to open areas for the detention sections, right? So what would that look like on their property?
That might look like just a drainage ditch. So there might be even an outlet structure where water comes out into an open channel flow. So that is probably also contained within a drainage easement on their property. Another thing that we would be able to tell the property owner based off a plat. And all those pipes and ditches, any stormwater conveyance, whether it's natural or man-made infrastructure, might lead to a detention pond for temporary storage, a retention pond where you see water all the time, or it's going to, like you said, a creek, a stream, the most downstream water body.
So before I even knew what stormwater was as far as the infrastructure of it. I am one of those people that was guilty about taking my limbs and my leaves and that kind of stuff and dumping it in a section that was just, in my mind, an undeveloped part of property. Maybe it was a piece of property between two homes in my neighborhood or something. Do we see that being a common behavior of our homeowners?
We do. A lot of folks don't realize, I think, that they have a drainage
Yeah.
easement on their property.
Yeah.
If they haven't seen a copy of the subdivision plat, or they might just not understand what a drainage easement is there for. So it is really important that we keep those as clear as possible.
Mm-hmm.
So not dumping any yard waste into them, not building any structures within them, because that is the intended flow path for stormwater runoff. That's where the developers said that's where the water is going to go.
And that's the design of the development of the neighborhood.
Exactly.
So I only bring that up because we're spending so much money trying to repair an aging, failing infrastructure. But at the same time, I think it's important to kind of educate people of what they can do themselves in their normal routine of maintaining their property to be able to keep from adding to a failing infrastructure. You know, the fun thing about being mayor in this time of year, this is the time of the year that wherever I go, people always stop me and say, this guy, he's the reason why my taxes are going up. This is the reason why I pay higher taxes. Of course, our millages remain the same. But stormwater is a separate fee. And this year we're having to do an increase on that.
Yes.
Can you kind of explain how all that's determined?
Absolutely. The stormwater fee is not a tax. It is a utility user fee for using the city's infrastructure essentially to manage stormwater runoff. And so the way that it's determined is every property in the city with impervious area, whether that be driveways, parking lots, even roofs, any parcel with more than 500 square feet of impervious gets a utility user fee. Right now, with the recent increase in rate, is most townhomes and condos are going to be charged $45 a year. Single family attached homes, sorry, that was wrong. Single family detached homes will be charged at a rate of $90. That's the vast majority of them. There are some certain cases where a residential home might have a longer driveway or just a larger square footage. And then non-residential properties are charged at a rate based on the amount of square footage of impervious area that they have. So it's a very equitable way of really, like I said, it's not a tax. It's just simply based off the amount of impervious area that you have on the property, because that is tied to the kind of the wear and tear on the stormwater infrastructure.
So you say it's equitable, right? And that's the word, we want to be equitable. But we haven't really explained why it's going up, right? So why is it going up, right? And especially during a time when things are so much tighter for everybody and things are so expensive, why is it necessary to increase this fee?
It's inflation, cost of living. Projects that we did 10 years ago were $30,000 and $40,000, and a project of that exact same scope is $85,000 now. So we're just trying to keep up.
Okay. Plus the failures that we've seen and what we talked about trying to move these projects forward and just trying to catch up, right? But also we are collecting money today for a project we're paying for hopefully next year, right? And even within that 12-month period, we're seeing inflation on labor and materials.
Oh yes, sir, absolutely.
Yeah. Especially as other public entities or public, municipalities are beginning to look at infrastructure of stormwater like we are. Now that puts kind of a demand on the materials, right? And I know that this is something that any mature community, what Duluth kind of developed in the 80s and 90s, right? Has a failing infrastructure. I could only imagine what the City of Atlanta is dealing with right now. You know, I can only imagine. But is there anything else that you think that maybe the citizens want to hear, need to know about stormwater, the fee, why it's important, how to ask questions?
I think One thing that we are working on right now is a dedicated kind of reporting line for stormwater.
Oh.
That we're kind of still working through it, but it should be available on our website hopefully shortly, to allow residents and property owners to kind of be our eyes throughout the city. We're a small group, so
Yeah.
and as proactive as we try to be, we really rely on people to report those stormwater failures to us so that we can address them.
The other thing I want to kind of clarify too, I just thought of this, we've already been past this topic, but the stormwater fee, it doesn't go into the general fund for general spending.
That's correct.
It is allocated for only stormwater
That's correct.
infrastructure, administration, and actual construction.
Yes.
Correct?
Yes, sir.
I just wanted to clarify that the increase in the fee does not go to the general budget. It goes specifically to the projects. I also want to make sure that everyone is aware that there are things that they can do to get a discount on this. So, we're all in this together, and we want to give people the opportunity, especially those who have a strong interest in sustainability of their own property. So what type of things can people do, and how can they apply for credits in the stormwater?
We do have a stormwater fee credit program that allows homeowners to get up to 50% off their stormwater utility fee. Things like maintaining your septic system on a regular basis, things like installing rain barrels, things that kind of take the stress off of the public infrastructure. So there is a stormwater credit manual on our website, and certainly people can call and chat about the different credits that we do have available.
So let me ask you one more question. I have dogs. So whether it's beautiful outside or whether it's a massive storm, the dogs sometimes have to go out, right?
Sure.
So I'm out there walking the dogs one day, and I'm actually watching the stormwater in the drains, because that's what I do now, because I'm aware of it. And I noticed the water went from clear to brown in the curb gutter system.
Okay.
So what causes that?
The biggest stormwater pollutant is dirt.
Okay.
It's dirt and sediment.
Okay.
So a lot of times, especially with our red clay here, it gets dirty, and so sediment leaving sites. So that's why it's really important to make sure that you've got good ground cover that's stabilizing the soil. And again, like you said, pet waste, that's another big pollutant.
Okay. So people who have beds, I call them beds, in their yards, need to be doing mulch, pine straw, something that will stabilize the soil underneath it to be able to keep that pollutant out of the storm drain system.
Yes.
Okay. So hopefully you've found this very interesting and understand why stormwater is so important and why we've had to focus on stormwater and have the stormwater fees. Just as a reminder, if you do not know me, I'm Greg Whitlock. I am Mayor of the Duluth. And Josh and Alyssa here, of course, we're always out in the community. If you ever have any questions, reach out to us. If you see us in the community, go to the website. We'll have information there for you as well. And with that, I just encourage you to get involved, engaged, and please let us know if you see any signs of some of the things that we described. Thank you.